Sound is rolling, and slate. Why risk watching an unknown, a movie that could be bad, when that same juicy 4-year-old blockbuster that Netflix has been pushing on you is still there, waiting to be seen? And yet, despite it repeatedly being shown to you, whether it's on HBO Max or now on Netflix after they finally picked up the rights before it inevitably lands on Tubi or Paramount Plus, why does it still feel so hard to click? Analysis paralysis is being unable to make a decision because you are feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of options. In this instance, Netflix's and all the other streamers' infinitely scrollable, algorithmically generated movie options, TV show options. So, how to and why you should find new movies in the age of the algorithm. And at the very end, I'll show you how to watch them all for free. Portion 1 or portion 0. Why? As ourselves become increasingly shaped by digital life, and as digital life becomes increasingly shaped by algorithmically generated content, it's become easy to be fed not only movies, but also TV shows, music, ideas, politics that we already feel comfortable with. This isn't new knowledge, but it also means that the process of curation is a skill that is quickly being wiped away from our collective toolkits. We don't give ourselves the time or the space to look, and because of that, our tastes and maybe parts of our identities are being flattened into an opaque blob of blah. Looking for things on your own, finding out what you like, what you don't like, things that are strange and surprising can be one of the most rewarding things you can do for yourself. And for someone that is easily obsessive, the sports fanatic, the gym rat, the cinephile, it can also be a lot of fun. 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 Part 1, streamers. Remember like 30 seconds ago when I was bad-mouthing Netflix and HBO Max and other streamers? Don't worry, I will continue to. The goal of this exercise is to excise algorithms completely out of the movie watching experience and to take back control of yourself as the primary curator of your taste and your media. But all that can be pretty hard, especially when you don't have your trusty app sitting at the bottom of your Google Apple's on Fire Roku Stick YouTube TV. That's why I'm bringing up 2 great streaming services. 2 streamers that magically still have human beings at the center of their curation. Mubi and the Criterion Channel, not sponsored, wish I was, both offer a great selection of movies that are handpicked by movie lovers, organized into different themes and categories. Criterion is especially good at this. For example, this month I've noticed they have a selection on coastal thrillers and another one on noir film, and the list goes on and on and on. I'm not sure if there's a stigma behind these 2 streamers, especially outside of the niche cinephilia crowd, but trust me when I tell you they offer a lot more than, the often made fun of 12-hour black and white Yugoslavian film about the rise of communism post-World War II, all told from the perspective of a rat. Sure, you might be able to find something that you can easily make fun of as pretentious, and you'll also be able to find something that likely bores you. But they also carry a lot more accessible films from the likes of Martin Scorsese or Michael Mann. And Mubi continues to partner with great contemporary filmmakers. Park Chan-wook had his film Decision to Leave distributed and now streaming on Mubi. They were also the company behind last year's The Substance, which was nominated for a few Oscars. And besides, the whole point of this exercise is to find and develop your own taste as a movie watcher. Sure, you might be able to find something that you can easily call pretentious, but you also might find your next favorite film. Recently on the Criterion Channel, I saw this movie, Only the River Flows, which was this cool Chinese police drama that was really cold and detached, and it kind of reminded me a lot of Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure. The big issue with these 2 options, of course, they cost money. Mubi, $15 a month, Criterion Channel, $10 a month. That's $25 a month, it adds up. But what's great is that both streamers let you browse their catalogs without actually paying for the subscription. Remember, I'll show you how to watch all these movies for free later, so once you find titles you're intrigued by and want to test your tastes with, you can write them down or add them to a list in your notes app. or you can add them to a list in the next option, Letterboxd. Ah, yes, the cult of Letterboxd and their favorite fours and all that bullshit. The list function in and of itself is probably worth the download. Let's say you're someone that's really interested in Japanese horror films. Well, all you have to do is type into the search bar Japanese horror, and you'll find countless catalogs of other films created by users that you can navigate and browse through by yourself. There's also a large selection of official lists, which rank the top 250 movies of all time. They do the same thing for animated films, films with women directors. They've compiled the IMDb top movies, the Sight and Sound top 100 movie poll, and let's say on one of these lists you find a movie and you watch it and you end up really liking it. It's easy to just click on that movie's poster, look at the director, and voila, you have their entire catalog of films just waiting to be explored by you. You can do the same filtering with actors, cinematographers, editors, production designers. It's pretty awesome. It's really easy to get trapped on the homepage looking only at the popular movies of the week, but looking through movies using the browse features yourself is actually pretty easy, and once again, a really great way to find some movies that you probably never would have seen or heard of before. Well, all you have to do is plug in a few filters and ta-da! You have dozens of movies just waiting to be discovered by you. Finding different micro-genres from different eras, from different countries is such a fun way to build and expand your taste, and it's really easy to do that using this app. Now, I want to address the fact that yes, these two options that I'm presenting to you, Letterboxd and the two streaming services, are not completely void of the algorithm. While Criterion and Mubi have humans grouping films together, there's still some sort of algorithm putting them in front of you before others. And if you select a movie and scroll to the bottom on Letterboxd, you'll find a section that says similar movies. All of these are just algorithmically recommended to you based off of the movie that you're currently looking at. The truth is that algorithms are pretty much impossible to escape in today's age, especially if you're somebody that wants to engage in the culture. But if you're following through with these first two steps, if you're diving in and looking for yourself and making note of what you find interesting, there's no denying that you are taking drastic steps towards curating your own taste. And if you want the algorithm gone completely, if you want it vanquished, if you want it completely and utterly destroyed, you're gonna have to do something crazy. You're gonna have to look at some film journals. I know I lost around 10% of the average view percentage when I mentioned the word journals, so I'll keep this one brief. Doesn't it feel like today's internet has been whittled down to like 4 or 5 different websites? But if you spend the time trying to look, you'll find that there's still an array of film journals being worked on by humans, giving their time and effort to write on films that they believe in passionately, posting articles just waiting for you to click on them and read. I'll just name a few that I've discovered that have really helped me in researching videos for this channel. Cineast, Film Comment, and Brightlight film journals often have great articles on a wide variety of movies, old and new. And simply browsing their sites ever so often will give you a great selection of curated movies, and not to mention an interesting perspective on the movie that they're going to be talking about. Other journals/magazines like IndieWire can also be a great resource to discover contemporary films that are coming out across the world. For example, the Cannes Film Festival just wrapped up, and IndieWire posted a list of, I think, 14 films to watch out for, to add to your watch list for once they come out in your country. See, talking about film journals isn't that bad. It doesn't need to be something that you read or look at every day, but the films that compel people to take time and energy out of their lives to write about them are often worthy of at least some of your attention. A simple Google search like film journals or indie film journals or horror film journals is also a great way to embark on that journey. Okay, but have you noticed that all the things I mentioned so far have been online resources? This is cinema we're talking about. Isn't the point supposed to be the movie-going experience? Isn't it about leaving your house? Isn't it about movie theaters? Haha, okay, this one isn't necessarily gonna be free. But hey, if you're going to be supporting a business, your money's a lot better spent at a local theater than in the deep pockets of all the tech executives that seem to be running the studios now. Oh, and when I say theater, I'm not talking about, your AMC, Cinemark, or other big chain. I'm referring to your local independent theater. And I know that not everyone is fortunate enough to live in an area with a local independent theater. I'm really glad to be in Southern California, where there are about 10 independent theaters that are only a 15-minute drive from me. But I conjecture that for many of you, there's an independent theater a lot closer than you might think. The Art House Convergence has a great map of all the indie theaters across the US. They list some in Canada and Mexico, but I don't think that list is comprehensive. If you look at that map and find that there still aren't any around in your area, even just checking their programming schedule can be a great way to introduce yourself to a bunch of movies and titles. And if you're one of those lucky people that has a theater within driving distance or, God forbid, walking distance, leaving the house on the weekend to catch a double feature of Tiger on the Beat and Skinny Tiger and Fatty Dragon, 2 movies that I've never heard of, especially if you're bringing a couple friends, is not only guaranteed to be an awesome experience, but will assuredly diversify and specify your tastes as a movie watcher. Not to mention, all these movies that you're going to be finding from Mubi, Criterion, Letterboxd, and the movie theater programming lists are meant to be seen on the big screen. Whenever you have the opportunity to watch a classic that you've been meaning to watch for a long time, it's my opinion that you should take that chance every single time that you can. Some of my fondest and most taste-shaping experiences have been at screenings at Revival theaters. Watching Enter the Void at the New Beverly, which literally gives you a first-person experience on what it feels like to die. It also introduced me to the rest of the work of Gaspar Noé, but I get it. Not everybody has the time to go to the movies every day. Nevertheless, the physical experience of watching a movie is important and should be maintained. And speaking of physical, the holy grail, physical media. We are living in the golden age of physical media. Criterion, Arrow, Second Run, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin. There are so many boutique Blu-ray labels that are restoring and releasing hundreds and thousands of films that only a decade ago we assumed would never see the light of day. We're at a point now where there's almost too many movies being restored and released to keep track of. The number one issue with these is obviously the cost. Most of these Blu-rays cost anywhere between $40 to $60. But the benefit of acquiring films physically is that once you buy them, they're yours. It's not like a purchase on Amazon. You can actually lend this to your friend. Browsing a Barnes & Noble or any other video store, which like independent theaters are slightly more common than you might think, is arguably the greatest way to actually look for titles and films that suit, expand, or challenge your tastes. We're often told not to judge a book by its cover, but when you're shopping for new movies at a video store, that's far and away the best part of the process. Pick up a movie, look at its cover, and hold it in your hands, and turn it over and read the descriptions on the back. Check out the artwork. What images speak to you? What titles grab your attention? Discovering an unknown film this way, bringing it home and watching it on your TV, can feel just like discovering gold at the end of a treasure hunt. It's the process of looking that makes the reward of watching that much more enjoyable. The same way that cooking a great meal for yourself always tastes better than ordering delivery. And it doesn't even have to be expensive. There are, of course, video rental stores that give you the exact same feeling of browsing at a fraction of the cost. But I bet that your local library also has a pretty significant collection of films that are just waiting to be discovered by you, free of charge. Even if there is no video store, your library has no movies, but you still have a Barnes & Noble, and you're at that Barnes & Noble and you have 10 movies picked out, but you know that buying all of them is going to cost $200 or something crazy. You can still have the joy of the physical discovery as long as you figure out a way to watch movies for free. Unfortunately, there's no real way to watch movies for free without ads legally. Of course, there are illegal ways to do it, and for educational purposes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it without getting caught, so that you never make the mistake of accidentally committing a crime without realizing it. So make sure that you never do exactly what I'm about to tell you to do. It's actually quite easy. Download a VPN. There are some free options, but this won't be news to many, maybe. Free VPNs are often a little bit sketchy. They come with issues like data leaks, weak encryption, and it's not uncommon for them to be selling off users' data. In my opinion, it's smarter to go with a paid VPN that offers a free 30-day money-back guarantee, like NordVPN. I'm not sponsored. Once you have your VPN installed and running, you can download qBittorrent, a open source, safe BitTorrent client that lets you download torrents without using a separate website like the Pirates Bay. Once you have qBittorrent downloaded, you simply have to install the search function, which this Reddit user helpfully lays out. It'll only take you about 30 extra seconds. And now you can search. Now open up your Notepad, Notes app, or Letterboxd list with all of the movies that you compiled from becoming curious and doing this looking on your own. From your own determined search. The work you put in yourself. Not the movies recommended to you by an algorithm, but the movies you found as a human being. Simply type them into the search bar, filter through movies, enter that search, click a file that you want to download. A good one will be above 1 gigabyte. Anything around 3 to 5, I'd say, is all you need. Click download and voila. Now you can watch all those movies for free. Of course, I have to strongly advise against doing any of this because it's illegal and I only pay for movies myself. That's why I have this neatly organized folder on my computer called Movies I Bought. At least now you know how to do it so that you can never do it yourself. Remember, your taste isn't something that just is. It's something you build, something you craft. And if you're only watching the stuff recommended to you by the algorithms, the same 50 movies under the guise of different categories, then chances are your taste isn't really yours. It's theirs. But it can be yours again. Whether you're browsing Letterboxd, reading film journals, or flipping through Blu-rays at the local Barnes & Noble, or maybe you're at a independent theater catching a new 35mm screening of some long-forgotten Hong Kong action flick. If you're doing any or all of those things, you're taking back control. You're doing the thing that the algorithm and the tech companies never want you to do for yourself. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes some time. It might lead you to that 12-hour black and white Yugoslavian communist film from the pigeon's perspective, but that's okay, because it might also lead you to your favorite movie of all time, one that you never would have found if you just let the Netflix homepage decide for you. So go explore, curate, dig, discover, because your taste deserves so much better than autoplay. All right, that's a wrap on how to discover new movies in the age of the algorithm video. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun making this. I'm deeply inspired by the video made by Notes from the Archive, which was literally titled How to Find New Music in the Age of the Algorithm. I saw that video and I was like, this is amazing. I want to make one for films because, they're both medias being greatly impacted by, algorithms, tech companies, and now AI and everything. So yeah, it's important to keep the curator's mindset alive. And it is so much more rewarding. Also, I want it to be known, I'm not perfect either. When I'm really tired, probably just throw on HBO Max and I just watch whatever is on the homepage. That's okay. It happens. But if you're really conscious about it, taking the effort to find new movies, in the end, you're going to be really glad that you did. Yeah. So, hey, I'm Annie Moore. Thanks for watching. Comment if this is something that you do or something that you want to be doing. Sorry about that pause. Yeah, comment down below. Smash like, smash subscribe. Here's the thing. When I yell subscribe at the end of the video, people are saying, why are you yelling? That is so loud. Please stop. And when I didn't yell subscribe at the end of the video, there were 5 people that were like, dude, why didn't you yell subscribe? You do that at the end of all your videos. So now I don't know what, I'm going to do a little one in between. Thanks for watching. I love you. If you're still watching, I love you so much. Subscribe, 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 subscribe.